Oh, we're live.
That is so loud. Oh my God, that is the loudest thing I've ever heard. That was ridiculous.
Microphone. It's too good.
I didn't think that was going to be that loud. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's you can talk to Joe about that when he is back from the mountains. But welcome everyone to another edition of the Friday Nooner. I'm Pete McIntyre, the managing editor of Grepbeat. With me this week is not the Grepbeat Godfather, but it is Kevin Mosley, a partner, I guess is your title at Jurassic Capital.
I am a partner at Jurassic, yeah, and also, but I think the thing that I tend to lead with is host of Exit Stories, a Grepbeat mainstay.
We like that. We like the branding there. Okay, so who else is at Jurassic?
It is me and Joe. That is it. So yeah, we are both partners at Jurassic, and we're a growth equity firm that focuses on small 1 to 5 million or so of revenue B2B software companies, primarily in the Triangle, but also beyond in North Carolina and the Southeast. That we try to help as a growth equity firm that helps guide and move them towards ultimately where they want to go.
Well, that's great. I'm sure Joe appreciates the plug if he's watching, perhaps later on. But we have to get right to the big news today, because today has been billed as a live reveal of the inaugural March Madness bracket. So in the Coffee Championship round, that's what we're calling it. The winner, I have the results right here in the bracket. Cocoa Cinnamon Durham dominated in the championship game against Google Huff. 79.
Nice, appropriate pronunciation.
35. Yeah, I don't really know how to. Something like that, right?
It's hoop. I would go hoop.
Google Huff.
I think it doesn't have the umlauts though, so maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why they lost. Maybe they didn't have the appropriate pronunciation.
I will say, and I'm not trying to blame them, but they did not amplify it on social media as Cocoa Cinnamon did. So. A marketing opportunity missed, and we reached out to them several times. So I don't know. I mean, they're a fine establishment. I mean, they made it to the final. Let's not diminish their, a terrific run, a terrific performance all the way to the championship game. And after, is it time to reveal that there was a voting fraud scandal?
Google Hoop almost did not make it to the finals, Pete.
In the final four score, so dubbed because of our sponsor, Fourscore Business Law. Here's what we're going to take the people back to last week. So the final four matchups were on one side of the bracket, Cocoa Cinnamon and La Farm, and the other side of the bracket, Morning Times of Raleigh and Google Huff. It was supposed to be. So was it last? I think maybe it was last Thursday it started. Anyway,
I think that's right. Yeah.
You were, or maybe it was last Tuesday. You were in the office, and you said to me, "What?"
I said, "Pete, do you have any idea that where it should be a Google Hoop, it says La Farm?"
And I said, "Oh." I said, "Where does it say that?" Because I've written it in a bunch of places. It could have been on the WordPress story. It could have been on MailChimp, in which case I couldn't have changed it, but it was in the newsletter. That wouldn't be a problem. On the site, I could change it, and you said no. It was on where? It was on
the form itself, which was possibly the worst place for it.
It was correctly listed on the ballot. The picture was right, but so people would come to the first semifinal and they'd see the bracket, so they knew the matchups, and then they would see Cocoa Cinnamon, La Farm, and then the next one was Morning Times. And also La Farm, but it was a Google Huff picture. And when you pointed it out to me, first of all, I was quite crestfallen. And it was, at that point, the score was 16-10. Morning Times was leading. And I don't
No idea how. Absolutely no idea how it was even that close.
I did not know what to do because it was, there was some talk of, I'm not going to say what your suggestions were, but they were all
a lot of cover-ups, a lot of scandals.
That point, it's like I can't do that, and I can't get these people back and vote. But on the other hand, the picture is right, and people wouldn't think. First of all, it was very surprising that no one had complained because people like to complain. If someone had already complained about several times in that day's newsletter, I was talking about Brooks Bell joining a CDC foundation, the board of directors.
That's right, as the CED. Yeah.
And I repeatedly typed it as CED because, in my defense, I was typing CED quite a bit that day because of Venture Connect, and they're right next to each other. Anyway, someone pointed that out.
That is your normal type of role as well, to use CED.
March Magnus is wrong. What we did, and then you asked me which you hadn't voted yet, and you asked me which would help me for you to vote, which I thought was a nice sentiment. But then you voted for the thing that actually hurt me.
That was very much on purpose at that point. The problem is I haven't been to Google Hoop for coffee. I haven't done it yet. I've been there to eat, and it's perfectly fine as an eating establishment. But I couldn't respectfully do that. So I voted. I voted for everybody else, which I mostly had been to, including Coco Cinnamon in the championship. But yeah, they didn't seem like they needed it there. But yeah, thank goodness Google Hoop, it seemed like, pulled out barely in that semifinal.
Then it was 17-10 Morning Times, and then changed the name to the proper name. And from that point on, I guess it was 15-8. Yes, 15-8 for Google Hub. But as of Monday morning, they were tied. I was like, oh no. The worst scenario for me would have been a narrow victory by Morning Times because it would be forever tainted.
Yeah.
Whereas the fact that Google Huff came back, overcame, a handicap from it was my mistake. I should have looked more closely at the so as not to throw an intern under the bus.
I think if Morning Times had won, I had the whistleblower tweet ready to rock, and that was going to get sent.
But you had voted for Morning Times, so then I figured, you're not going to blow the whistle if your team wins. That's not.
I suppose that's a fair point. Yeah.
Google Huff won by one. Fair. Well, they had to overcome a handicap and still won, so I consider that definitely a victory. And then they got smoked in the final anyway.
I think it all worked out, and for me, it could not have worked out better. I helped a friend out in a time of need, and also then
me or Morning Times, who was
you. I would say in this case of helping see that, and then unless you're saying that we're not friends.
No,
Pete, no.
I mean, if you think we're friends, then we're definitely friends.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah. Good.
No,
good work.
Absolutely, we're friends.
No, but it worked out well because I didn't really want them to win, but wanted them to get a fair shot at it. And I think that at the end of the day, they got that fair shot and they got stomped, and appropriately so if they're not going to market it. And if we were doing the effort for it, man, hate it for you, Google Hoop. Google Hup.
I thought it was Hup. Yeah, what happened?
I said Hoop. You said Hup.
Yeah, but then you went back. All right. Well, so congrats to Coco Cinnamon. We'll be presenting them.
Fine establishment. Yeah.
We'll probably go and take a picture, I think, and hopefully
you give them all Grep Me mugs. You could just make that their normal mug. Maybe that's who wins March Mugness.
We can't just be handing out these mugs are very valuable. But we'll see. We'll certainly give them something that hopefully they will hang in a place of prominence because it's a great award. March Mugness, there'll never be another first March Mugness champion.
Will there ever be a March Mugness again?
I mean, probably. I mean, who knows?
Well, you have 30. I guess you could have 30. How many was it? Was it 32 next ones for next year?
It was 32, and those were just pre-pandemic because we stopped going inside coffee shops. I mean, we have 60-something outside restaurants, and we have a whole nother year. No problem. We could certainly fill a bracket, and maybe there's 64. Joe didn't like the fact that I seeded them. He thought the seeding was arbitrary. You got a seed. I said, no, I seeded them. It wasn't arbitrary. We've had previous polls. Okay, we've really taken up quite a lot of time. Appropriate.
Absolutely. This could have been a huge scandal. It's what people really want to know.
Right. Okay, so here's something else. Yesterday was April 1st. April Fool's Day. And I'm sure everyone has read the newsletter, yesterday's newsletter. If not, it's still in your inbox. But there was one local startup, Seguno. Seguno, the Seguno fellows. They're ex-Pronto types like everyone else.
I do know them.
And they have an email marketing platform on Shopify. Anyway, they released a cereal, Seguno's, capital O. And it was actually an amusing page. And with every box, you get a free email template, which is just what kids want when they're going to eat their. Because, hey, I was thinking about marketing my lemonade stand or something.
Yeah, screw your toy or anything else that you could actually want. But yeah, get your email template.
So they made a video which was pretty entertaining, but I will say for me, it brought back some difficult memories, which I'm going to share here because. So when I was a kid, my younger brother won a bike in a box of honeycombs. He got a little the license plate out and said "Lucky." It was astronomical odds, but here's the part that bothers me. It was my box of cereal, because when we were that age, we had first of all, we couldn't eat sugar cereals until we were like a teenager. But then after my mom went back to work, the rules kind of loosened up, and so then it was you got your own box of cereal, because there were 4 kids, and we're always kind of in a race, and so you ordered a particular. Got a box of cereal, and it was supposed to be your box. You weren't supposed to mess with other people's boxes. But he opened my box of honeycomb, and then he won the bike. But he was the youngest, and once he won the bike, I'd be like, but it's my bike. I want a bike. Oh. It's my cereal. And they're like, well, you're older, you have a bike. It's like, it's not a good bike. I mean, he has a much better bike now. So, geez,
free bikes taste better, I've always said.
Right, exactly. Right, a bike one is much sweeter than a bike. I don't know. You get
No, younger siblings are the worst. I was once a younger sibling. I'm still a younger sibling, I guess. I stole from my brother a Kickin' for Chicken contest, going to indoor soccer Cleveland Crunch back when I was, 6 or 7, up in Cleveland, Ohio. And they went into the crowd, picked me out, sitting next to my brother. I guess they thought I was cuter. I still am, I think. But thought I was cuter, grabbed my parents, and so we left my brother, who was a teen, I guess a preteen, hanging out in the stands by himself while the 3 of us went down and kicked for chicken. We did not win. I don't know. It was just a 3-person thing, I guess. They thought it was going to be an only child situation. I felt really bad. But we ended up kicking for chicken. No, not at all. No. We didn't even really eat all that much fried chicken. It was like a KFC type of thing, and somehow we scored 2 of the 3 goals, and then my dad missed horribly, and we only won one little bit of chicken.
So did they give you the chicken right then, or was it like a coupon?
No, I think it was a coupon. They give us a really huge shirt though that was like oversized for maybe like 2 children. So maybe they thought that I would share that with my brother.
Okay, well that's exciting. But we have seen, though, some of the April Fool's. I personally do not care that much for April Fool's jokes, and they can backfire, because I think we were talking about the story before where Volkswagen renamed themselves Volkswagen to kind of tout their electric vehicles. I think they sent out the press release early and by mistake, and then it was reported, because it wasn't April 1st yet, it was like the 29th or something. It was reported as a real story, and then they sort of had to backtrack, but like the SEC is investigating for
they are
misleading
ticked.
Investors. I don't think anything will really come of it, because it's not like they would expect that. It was not like the Elon Musk situation where he was saying, X offered to buy the company for X dollars. Yeah. And that's, obviously super material to the value of and then that was like a 420 joke.
It was, but the Volkswagen thing, okay, a couple of analysts came out and said, I think this is a really good move for Volkswagen. Like, way to really commit to the electric vehicle. It's like, well, The stock price did go up 10% that day. It did eventually come back down, but that's
it leveled off that even that same day, and now it's down because well, we didn't know.
Well, yeah, now you have to pay for this. Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it's going to be hard to. I don't know. It's going to come, but it was definitely not smart.
Yeah. So moral of the story, I guess, is if you're going to make an April Fool's joke, make it one that's not all that important, and wouldn't actually be a good thing for your business.
I used to write for Sports Illustrated, and they have one of the most famous April Fool's jokes. And this is before your time, sadly. I'm going to date myself with this.
It may not.
1985. So Sid Finch, George Plimpton wrote a story about turned out to be a fictional pitcher for the Mets who threw 168 miles an hour. And he was like this, a yogi. He'd been on a pilgrimage, and he played the French horn. It was just sort of bizarre. But I, as a young Mets fan, very much wanted to believe it, even though
this guy was going to come pitch for you.
Sports Illustrated. But
must be true.
It was and it came out before April 1st, but the date of the issue was April 1st. And actually, when I was at SI, they did another one on an issue that was dated April 1st. And at the time, I was actually a juror on a trial that lasted.
You were a juror on a trial? I didn't know that.
Yeah. You seriously?
I'm messing with you.
yeah. People just go look up my Wikipedia page. It's there. But it was a very intense, and we were in deliberations by then, which lasted 11 days, ended in a very stressful mistrial. That's a different story for another day. But I was so out of it that the story was, it was like, the baseball saying, after he makes a great play at the field, they always seem to be up at the plate.
Yeah.
So it was like looking into that seriously and proving that it actually was true, and and I sort of skimmed through it, and I was like, well, this seems like an odd choice for a story, but I guess it is true. I guess they've done it, but it was an April Fool's joke, and I didn't get it, and it was in my magazine. Just because I wasn't really working. It was during deliberations, but I'd come back that evening for like a fantasy baseball draft, a rotisserie league. Which actually had ties to the original rotisserie league baseball, which is not, I guess, impressive too.
I think that's very impressive.
A very small subset. So someone else wants to talk about today, Brian Hamilton.
Yeah.
Brian Hamilton is. Okay, so former founder and CEO of SageWorks. He sold that a couple years ago to PE firm, Excel.
KKR, yeah.
Okay. And now he does several things, but we have written a story about, so he's had he has a foundation, but he's done this thing, Inmates to Entrepreneurs, for a few years. He's worked with inmates to, after they are released, to start their own business. It can be hard to get hired, but maybe if you start your own thing. And so he's worked with them on that. And now ABC is making a story. It's going to be in this Saturday morning block that they have called Free Enterprise.
Free Enterprise, yeah.
Yes, okay. But then TechWire wrote a story yesterday. It was actually something that broke in January, that he bought a sort of Canadian video conferencing company called Frozen Mountain, which I think probably half the startups in Canada are called Frozen.
It must have something of Frozen or Mountain in them.
Yeah, it's kind of like by rule. So I think he paid like maybe 15, 16 million, or maybe paid some of that. And
I think they raised it after the fact. Yeah, and then raised 15 or so after.
They probably did not announce what. So anyway, he's moving it to the Triangle, and they renamed it Live Switch.
Yeah.
And so I guess, I mean, obviously video conferencing has boomed. They're calling it like a Zoom. Well, he didn't say this, but like TechWire, a Zoom competitor. It's not like you're going to directly take on Zoom, but I would imagine there's enough room for some other. If you're they're going to specialize more in the kind of corporate space, which Zoom sort of started, but now it's like everyone uses Zoom. It might almost be like so mass that if they have a niche. What do you think of that? As an investor yourself, Would you look at a video conferencing company, or is that just sort of a different world?
No, it's a little bit of a different world, but not that far different. I think you make a good point, especially around Zoom being, having reached out or branched out into more of the consumer side, right? The moment that my mom said, "Hey, let's have a Zoom," the moment that I knew that I no longer really cared that much about Zoom. And knowing that as a long term a long term market, because it's just tough. It's just really tough and different to go after a consumer market. You end up building your software around your market, and as your market moves more towards that consumer side, you'll end up finding that companies may be less inclined to go with Zoom, and more likely to go with, I think that's why like Teams has become such a big thing for Microsoft. They've really taken over from Slack and gone after them hard, but at the same time then gotten into the video conferencing space as well, because they focus so hard just on corporations. I think Live Switch will end up probably going much further against that. But, Brian, if there's anybody to go do it, Brian's a great guy to go do it. Funny enough, my connection to them is SageWorks was my first job out of college. And so Brian hired me. And that was, I tell people all the time, based on that experience, that was my first foray into B2B SaaS. I'm now a B2B SaaS investor after many years of operating at B2B SaaS companies. And so I tell people all the time, that's really where it started. And in SageWorks and alongside Brian, I met my wife. I fell in love with the triangle. I fell in love with tech, and I fell in love with her all at the same time. So she worked at SageWorks also. And then, after a little while, we all left. We started dating, and then that's kind of where it was. And so I give so much.
Date when you were both employees?
We did not know. And so we got into it afterwards. And then that's probably a terrible way of saying it. My wife's going to watch this and really laugh about that. But so we. No, sure. So so we left him, but I know Brian's an awesome entrepreneur. He'll figure it out and get them to a good place. And plus, we're always excited to see, as fellow investors who try to lift up the local ecosystem here, it's always good to, if you're bringing companies to the area and able to grow them, we're really excited for them.
Cool. Okay. So we're now already eating into the time of our guest.
Gosh. We've done it.
Right. So Vickie Gibbs is going to come on. She's executive director of the eShip Center at UNC. I guess they've given up typing entrepreneurship. And as someone who has to type it quite often, I 100%.
Good call. Great call.
That move. So let's bring her on. Hey,
Vickie.
How are you?
How's it going, y'all?
Wow. Okay. Well, you put the whole title in there. That is impressive.
It popped up like that. So.
Oh, did it really?
Oh, wow.
Kevin actually went back and took his last name off, because I was like,
I thought Pete was being super casual about it, so I was like, well, I guess I have to be casual about it too.
I just have Pete. I don't know. Okay, so we were going to talk a little bit about Roy Williams retiring. Now is that all the news at UNC? And I know you're a Duke fan, right? Duke undergrad. So
yeah.
What is your view on
Roy? So Roy's a great coach, and I think the fact that I have a Duke undergrad and a Keenan Flagler MBA, so I kind of straddle the fence. So I love Duke. I definitely root for Duke when they play UNC. The people on my team give me a hard time for being a Duke fan, as they should. But I have a great deal of respect for Roy Williams and all that he's done. He's a great coach. He really cares about the kids, the students, and he's left a very positive mark on Carolina and Carolina basketball. So I wish him luck in his next chapter.
He's younger than Coach K, isn't he?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he has more gray hair.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, do we know what Coach K is doing up there? I mean, I wouldn't say there's no chance of die. I mean, come on. I'm not going to cast any aspersions.
No scandal would ever exist there.
We'll have him on sometime, and we'll get it out of him. I'm sure.
There you go.
Would love to do. Okay, so here I want to ask you about a few things, but one, I know that Jurassic is involved with your innovation internships. So what is that program?
Yep. So we launched it actually right during COVID last year. We were going to do innovation internships, and it was going to be in person. And we had to pivot really quickly. We actually had to onboard new companies because not everyone could go virtual. Thankfully, Jurassic came on board as one of our first beta customers. And they, of course, were very nimble and were fine to go virtual, which was wonderful. But this is a program And we actually had over 100 students apply for this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still looking for companies, but basically we look for high growth startups or investors like Jurassic so that students can really get that hands-on learning and see what it's like working in the real world with these startups. Because as we know, working in a high growth startup is very different than working in a larger company or in just like a 2 to 3 person shop. So there's a lot going on. These students are really brilliant and they can get in and they can add a lot of value. And in fact, Kevin, I think y'all even kept your intern on in the fall, didn't you?
We sure did, yeah. And honestly, Vickie, yeah, we've had such an awesome experience with the innovation internship. Yeah, both of my current interns right now during the school year are both still from that. Actually, the first one was, from last summer that stayed on through the fall and the spring. And then I just got another new one for the spring as well. We've had such great experiences with it. Can't speak highly enough about the program and the caliber of the students that are coming in there. But yeah, we've had awesome experiences.
Are you still looking for startups for the summer?
We are. I can put a link in the chat if y'all want me to.
Yeah, well, do that, and also just send it to me because I know the person who writes the Gretbead newsletter, I think I could probably get that person to put it in. So and that's obviously a big platform.
You've actually been great with us and have promoted our stuff, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, I was obviously fishing for that, so I'm glad you kind of came to it. I caught it. One thing I wanted to mention, so you had emailed me something this morning, and at the very end, you're like, oh, by the way, I got my second dose of the vaccine yesterday. And Kevin tells me that he's getting his second later today. So what? I'm over. I've been waiting till Wednesday. Where did you go? Where'd you get it? I want to hear from both of you, and I want some practical tips as to how to get it.
So I went in through UNC Health, but I was actually, you can also go through just the North Carolina system and then find, actually, because they just opened up Group 4 for all essential workers, it's really hard to get a schedule right now. My boyfriend has a handyman business that he started in October, so I was looking for him yesterday because he's considered essential because he's in construction. So, but I went through the UNC Health system, so there weren't any right near me when I got my first appointment, so I went out to Holly Springs, and they've got a UNC Rex healthcare spot there. Okay. The first one was fine. My boyfriend and I went to Charleston that weekend after, and it was like arm sore a little bit, no big deal. The second one, I have to say, don't plan to do a lot the next day. Like you just feel a little tired, and that's been pretty consistent as I've talked to people. I did get the Pfizer, and I've heard Moderna can be a little different, and Johnson & Johnson can actually, because it's all of it at once, can be a little bit more severe. So, Kevin, how was your first one?
The first one was fine. My wife got hit a little bit harder than I did, so I don't think she's looking forward to the second one here that we're about to go get. But no, honestly, I think it was just a little fatigued after the first one, and obviously sore arm. But yeah, for the second one, we're very glad that today's Friday and tomorrow we can just zonk out. So you're in it right now. You're definitely a trooper right now for coming out of this and doing okay, but hopefully feeling all right.
I am. I was sitting on the couch earlier under a blanket. So, and I am in a comfy shirt. This was actually one of the last events that we did at the
nice.
Leadership Center. It's a make-a-thon shirt. And we had, during a break, all the students did tie-dye shirts. So I got to participate. It was actually the first time I'd ever made a tie-dye. I was pretty excited. But
really? Yeah,
this is and we do it usually at the beginning of spring semester. So we got it in right before the shutdown last year. So I wore it and commemorated it. So we'll probably be in person, hopefully in the fall. So it'll be good to get back to in person.
Absolutely.
I had forgotten to about the comments. See, Joe's away, and Joe usually does the comments, but Kevin Flowers.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Kevin's in the house. I thought he had missed an apostrophe, but I think he's counting himself.
Multiple Kevins.
As one.
Hey Kevin, good to see you, man.
Okay, and then Jan Davis, a very loyal listener, viewer, I guess, and I presume she's talking about Brian Hamilton. What's he going to do in retirement besides play golf?
Right, talking about Roy Williams.
Roy Williams.
Right, yeah.
Right. That makes much more sense. You should go and comment. I just got something. I don't think my nephew watches this, so I can probably say it, but I just got him a cameo for his birthday of a guy on the Hornets. So, I think you'll like that.
That's pretty
So
cool.
we'll see. And I actually know when I moved down here, I was in Chicago, and the young guy, he's a Duke guy. He's actually good friends with Zach, who runs Teamworks. Stephen Galanis,
Cool.
Runs Cameo. And I was trying to, if I had money, I would have invested in, but they didn't actually need money, but they were clearly going places. All right, so I did want to the eShip Scholars Program, because we wrote about a woman, Caitlin Cooney, with Miss Empower, which I love that name. Yeah. So what is it? And she was an eShip Scholar. So what is that?
Yeah, so she actually was our DEI intern, so our diversity, equity, and inclusion intern, and she helped start the program. So it was her brainchild, along with Aspen Fulcher, who runs student engagement for us. Okay. And so eShip Scholars, what we really wanted to provide is a program to serve underrepresented groups in entrepreneurship. And we think of that very broadly. And we wanted a place where they could come together as a cohort and connect to resources and programs. Because one of the things that Caitlin was finding as she was like talking to her peers and things like that is that it could be intimidating to plug into things that people knew nothing about. They didn't know who would be there. And we had also really done a lot of work to increase the diversity and representation of our advisor pool. So this was an opportunity to create a year-long program. So there's matching mentors, there is programming, and then there's also, we try and connect them to resources and also develop them as a cohort. And that was made, we also provide $5,000 for each student to apply to their venture or to offset living expenses, say for a part-time job that they need to pay for expenses that would prevent them from working on their venture. And that was made possible through an ecosystem grant from NC IDEA. So we would not have been able to launch that without NC IDEA. So the program runs for a year. The students are absolutely amazing. So we have actually there, I'll actually put another link in the chat because the students are just really awesome. And we actually the program runs from the beginning of the school year to the end, so to May. And so one of the things we have been talking about is how do we think about supporting these students during summer? How do we sort of create a pipeline for next year? And we talked with Fred Hutchinson and Hutch Law, and they came in and have donated some money to support a summer immersion program so that we can continue to support the program. And so Hutch Law and NC IDEA, they've really been instrumental in getting this off the ground. And we are looking for funding so that we can have kind of long-term sustainability. But the program has just had a lot of impact on the students, and the students have a lot of impact on us. I have to say, working with students, we learn so much from them, and I'm so inspired by them because they are doing so much at like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, way beyond what I was doing at that age.
Awesome.
Right on.
All right. No, we're already over because Kevin was talking about fried chicken contest. And
you led me right into it.
I stayed on task. No diversions.
Vickie, I don't think I'm going to be asked to come back. I think it's pretty clear at this point.
It's not really up to you. But thanks for joining us, Vickie. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Vickie. Good to see you.
And Kevin, thank you for stepping up for the absent Godfather. Now I need to play his outro, his prized outro.
Oh, it's going to be super loud. I'm going to take out the headphones.
Yeah, you might need to take that out. And then after that, we'll just say goodbye.
So loud.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.